So welcome to Gentle Yoga. There are two things happening right now. One is that I'm going to do my best to teach this class. Outside of my apartment, directly outside of my apartment, there is a large truck, and they are shoving periodically giant tree branches through this truck and making an extensive amount of noise. So I'm going to hope for the best that you'll be able to hear me. In any case, from time to time it might get rather loud. So it will be helpful if you have a yoga strap. If you don't have a yoga strap, something similar to a yoga strap will be good. I have taken mine and put it through the buckle, so I have a loop. And you, anything that has a loop, like you could use a scarf or a belt or a dog leash, anything like that also could work really nicely in place of that. So, I also have a couple of yoga blocks. Okay, and I've got some pillows and blankets nearby. Okay, so we're gonna begin reclining, and we're gonna begin with a little bit of a butterfly shape. So I'm gonna use a couple of throw pillows for my knees, and I'm gonna use a couple of blocks underneath my back. Now, if you don't have the blocks, but you do have a blanket, you can take your blanket and kind of roll it up so that will give you a little bit of a lift underneath your back. Okay, it could go sideways, and then it's just underneath kind of where your shoulder blade area is, or you can do it long ways down your spine. Sometimes I like one version better than the other. Okay, so to do the blocks, I'm going to put one block on the ground so that it's only 4 inches tall. You might have 2-inch blocks, and then yours will be a little bit lower than that. And then I'm going to put one block up on the 6-inch height so that I've got two different heights, a little higher for my head. You can have both the same height. And some people actually prefer the heart a little higher and the head kind of to lay backwards. So if that's your jam, you can do that as well. Okay, so I'm going to position myself on the blocks so that I'm centered. And the bottom of this block is just a little below my shoulder blade, about 1 inch. Now, before I go too crazy here, I'm going to take these two pillows and put them underneath my knees, because I'm going to put my feet together with my knees open in a little butterfly shape, and I like having the support of the pillows. Then I can adjust my body on the blocks so that it feels like I'm in the right spot. Sometimes I have to go up and down a few times to find the just right place. Okay, so then I'm going to take each arm and just rotate the arm bone a little out. See if my elbows touch the ground heavy. If they don't, I might put a little blanket underneath one elbow, or both. And then make any final adjustments here to the props. Okay, so then once you've got yourself sort of settled in and adjusted, take a deep breath, let go with an ah. And then we can just try to relax into the shape. Might have to do a few final adjustments. Sometimes when I'm using props, it feels comfortable at first, and then eventually it's not so comfortable. So you can adjust. So you're letting your body rest, and you're keeping your mind focused on the breath or on just allowing your body to relax. Sometimes I catch myself kind of drifting off, in terms of not sleeping, although that has happened too, if I'm truthful. But no, like I find my mind kind of wandering around. And so if I catch myself, I'm thinking about something, just bring your mind back to your breath. We'll just stay for about another minute here, 1.5 minutes. So taking deep breaths and letting the body relax over whatever it is. Maybe you're just laying flat on the floor. You don't have all the props under you. That's also fine. Okay, so we're going to take 2 more breaths. Hopefully you can still hear me. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my knees together and then just kind of straighten out my legs, taking the pillows out. And then the second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the blocks out from underneath my upper back. So starting with the one under my head. And then rolling onto my side and getting the other one out. Okay, and then coming onto your back. And giving yourself a moment to kind of rock back and forth or just rest into the experience of having removed whatever was underneath you. Oh. So I like the sensation of the kind of expansion or stretch around my chest muscles and around the front of my arms, especially in the morning. I'm a side sleeper. I sleep curled up on my side, so it feels really nice to kind of open up that space. And then I've also been spending a little more time on a computer lately, doing some training and doing some other things to kind of use my time wisely. That's all this time I've got to myself. But that creates a little bit more curl in. So, giving myself a chance to kind of relax, that feels really nice. All right, so we're going to take a big old stretch. And we're going to make ourselves into a banana shape. So we're going to curve the body into a kind of a shape like a banana. Now, I can leave my legs kind of loose, or you can take the leg that's on the outside edge of the curve. See, this side's curled in, and my left side's long. So I would cross the left one over the right one at the ankle. You can bend the right knee if that's helpful. Now, the arms can rest over your head, or you can make more of a T or a cactus shape, whatever works best. Sometimes I like to pull on that arm a little bit and just kind of rest that arm. Sometimes I go a little softer. Today, softer is feeling a little better. And more of, just kind of a cactus shape with the arms. I'm still feeling a nice long stretch down the side of my hip and the side of my waist. And that's, I've got this shape with my spine. So that's good. And so letting yourself find the right shape for you. So we're going to take about 5 deep breaths here. So with your exhale, next one anyway, you're going to come out of that shape. And then we're going to just pause for a moment and feel. And notice, does the side that was just on the longer side feel any different than the other side? Do you feel like a little, I always like a little windshield wipers, or even bringing the knees in and rocking right across the back of the sacrum there. Oh. maybe a little higher up as well. That feels really nice to me. And you can also kind of shake out the arms a little bit before we do the other side. Oh, that feels nice. So bending the torso, and I always start, kind of with my upper body, and then I swing the legs over to kind of match up. And again, you might cross over at that ankle joint if that seems like a good way to roll. You might add a little bit more tug with the arm or a little less. Trying to let your body stay kind of heavy on the floor, and then taking deep breaths. It's been rainy for so many days, having that sun come right through the window. It's pretty wild. So your house might have more sunlight or a little less. I'm just kind of noticing your experience of your pose as it is, whether it's just the breath or the feeling of warmth or coolness on your skin, or the way the light might be playing in your room. Just being present for the shape and for the breath and for the experience. Take about 3 more big breaths here. And then with that exhale, we're going to come back to the center. And again, you might pause for a moment, just see how things feel. Again, I like doing these little windshield wipers. You might want to bring your knees in. Okay. So we're going to take a moment to do a couple things with the arms. Now, I need a little bit of room over my head, and since I've got a little bit of furniture here, I'm going to wiggle down my mat, and hopefully I won't go off frame for you guys. Just until I can extend my arms over my head. Okay, so now that I've got a little bit of room here, I am going to do a little tug in. Just kind of settle my shoulder blades into my back, letting the arm bones rest. So the palms might rest up, depending on your anatomy. So we're going to take the arms up, and as I lift the arms, I'm going to take them over my head directly, but I'm going to reach into the arm. So I'm stretching down first, and then as I lift the arm, I keep stretching forward as far as I can reach through this whole range of motion. Right on? So I keep, now I'm reaching over my head, over my head, over my head, over my head. And then you might come to the point where your hands rest on the floor, or you might just get to a point where that's enough. And then you're going to do the same thing, but backwards. So we're going to stretch through the arms, stretch, 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 stretch. Now, all of us have a different range of motion depending on injuries and other things. So you're just working with the range of motion that's appropriate. Keep stretching out through your arms. We're going to go up and over. Keep reaching. Right here, I'm going to reach a little higher up toward the ceiling. And now it's lowering over, so I'm reaching way up over my head. And then we're coming back. Keep stretching through the arms. Right there, reaching towards the ceiling. As I start to come down, I'm going to keep reaching my arms down. And as I get all the way to the ground, I'm going to roll those shoulder blades back in toward the floor. We're going to do it one more time. So we're stretching the arms. Reach, reach, reach. Keep reaching a little bit longer. All the way over. And maybe they go all the way to the ground, maybe not. And then we're going to keep stretching up, 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 up. Keep reaching. Right here is where things start to soften up. So you're going to keep reaching, reach down, roll those arm bones, roll the shoulder blades, and then you can let your arms relax. Now we're going to take one arm up in the air, and we're just going to shake that arm out. We're going to do this for about a minute. So you can do bigger shakes that kind of get the whole shoulder involved. It can be more focused on the hand. I like to let a little bit of both happen, so there's kind of an in-between place. And then I might be moving more from the shoulder blade of the upper arm, and then I might be moving more from the wrist and the lower arm. And then kind of a place where it all happens. Oh, we got about 30 seconds. Seems like a long time, doesn't it? It's only a minute. Okay, keep shaking. We're almost there. A few more breaths. Oh. Okay, last breath. All right, so then you're going to let your arm kind of fall to the ground, and you can experience that arm versus the one we haven't shaken out yet. It's kind of nice. So we're going to stick the other arm up in the air. We're going to shake it. Oh, and again, you can shake more from the upper arm or more from the lower arm and wrist, or a little bit of both. I like to do a little bit of both. So shaking the lower arm, kind of letting the fingers get kind of jiggly. And then moving from the upper arm and the shoulder where everything changes. And it's a slower motion for me, right? Because this involves a lot more muscle than this. So both are good. We got about 35 more seconds. A little bit longer. Oh, getting things kind of flippy-flappy. Oh. You might try a different direction of movement. There, we got 3 more breaths, 2 more breaths. Last one. All right, and then let that arm fall. Oh, and experience the difference between the two. Now, I find that I was really skeptical of this, by the way, the first time it was introduced to me, but now I really like it. So there's kind of this feeling of lightness and release in the joints that I really enjoy. Okay, so we're going to do one more thing with the arms before we do some other stuff with our hips. So you're going to stick your arms straight up in the air, and you're going to cross, like you're going to grab your elbows. And whatever arm is on top, okay, so my right hand is on top, I'm going to use that hand first. So I'm going to hold on to my elbow, just above the elbow on my upper arm bone, and I'm going to pull this arm across, and then I'm going to use this arm muscle to pull my shoulder blade back down onto the ground, okay? So I'm going to pull across and really pull and let myself even roll a little bit into that. And then I'm going to use the muscles of my shoulder with resistance from this arm to pull that shoulder blade back down into the floor, okay? So I'm going to pull the arm across and give it a stretch. Now I'm powering mostly with my right hand. Now I'm going to really empower this left side. Pull that shoulder blade down, 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 down. Good. Last one, we're going to pull across. Oh, and then I'm going to use the shoulder blade. Pull down, pull down, pull down, pull down. And once I'm done there, I'm going to unwind that. Give those arms a little bit of a rinse. Do the same thing on the other side. So now I'm going to grab this upper part of the arm, okay? So this is the power. This is my left hand, this is my right hand. So I'm going to power with my left arm first. I'm going to pull that shoulder blade, keeping my body heavy, but pulling. And now I'm enlivening my right shoulder blade and using the muscle against the resistance of my left arm trying to come across, right? So left arm's trying to hold me here, and then I'm pulling down with the muscles underneath my shoulder blade to sink my shoulder blade back into the ground. Okay, pull, let that stretch happen. And then I'm going to resist and come all the way down. I'm going to do it one more time. I can feel the difference between my two arms for sure when I do this. So draw that right shoulder blade into your body. Pull the shoulder down toward the ground. Cool. And then let go and shake it out. All right. Oh. Now we're going to do some more stuff with the arms, but not right now. So what we are going to do is some stuff with the legs. So this is where we're going to need to have a strap handy. So if you set it off to the side somewhere, bring it and put it close to you so you can grab hold of it. We're going to do a couple movements first, and I'm going to come back up my mat a little so that I'm more in the center of the frame here. This is something I never thought I would have to worry about as a yoga teacher. Okay, so we're going to grab hold of one leg. Now, if you can't hold your leg with your hands, you can definitely use a strap, or you can hold on to your pants, or you could just like hang out with the leg up there, man. You don't have to hold on to that thing. And then the other leg is going to stretch out. Now, if you'd like, and this is really nice sometimes, is you could take a pillow and put it under that leg that you're going to stretch out, and that leg will stay more relaxed. And for the purposes of what we're about to do, that's not the end of the world. So you're going to do little circles here with the ankle joint, giving your foot some rounds that go all the way to the edges and some that are a little faster. And then we're going to do the other way. So we're going to circle the ankle. Oh, I like these. And then we're going to point and flex. Okay, so now pulling the leg in, you can either grab hold of this big toe with your peace sign fingers, or you can use your strap, and that would be the way that I'm going to roll. Now I put my foot through the loop. I put the loop up near the ball of my foot, and then I turn the buckle so that it's on the side. That way it won't pinch my wrist or my toes, for that matter. Sometimes, like mine has a metal buckle, and those are a little bit uncomfortable on your flesh. So I have a loop here that's long enough that I can easily adjust the space where my leg is, so I can decide how much I want to increase or decrease the sensation I'm getting here. I can bend the knee and then extend the leg back out. You can pull the toes down and point them. You can rotate the leg outward or inward. Okay, so these are the different movements that we're going to use to create the amount of stretch that seems right to you. And I'm definitely working into deeper stretches in my calf muscles and kind of finding the edge on the hamstrings. I don't want to feel like I'm tearing my hamstring muscles out of my hip bones. Like, that's not appropriate. But I do want to feel kind of a nice, warm, lengthening sensation, especially right in the belly of the muscle right here. If it's all at your sit bone, back off a little bit. Because that's a little more attachment. And that area of the body is not, there's not a lot of elastin in the tendons and ligaments of the body. So that connective tissue tends to be a little more resistant to this idea of lengthening. But if we can get to the part of the body right in the, like where the fascia lives around the muscle in the center, that area has a little bit more elastin. It has a little bit more give. So we can actually make a little space there. Okay, so we're going to take 2 more breaths. Now we're going to take the leg out to the side, and one of my favorite things to do is to put a little bit of support right under the hip, because I don't need to go all the way to the ground to find a stretch here. So for me, just going out to there is enough to feel this inner thigh area stretching out and to feel the sensation there. So if for you need to go all the way to the floor for that, that's fine. Then you don't need the pillow. Or you could put a block under there, or, if you've got a couch or something nearby, you can rest your leg on the furniture. On the other side, I might wind up resting my leg on this furniture. And so just kind of finding, and again, you can bend the knee and straighten it out, especially going through the heel feels really nice. There's, for me, a little bit of rotation here, not quite as much as the other shape. I'm using a little bit of my abdominal muscles to help hold this hip stable. So if your hip is kind of coming up off the ground, see if you can use your abs to stabilize that hip to the floor. That just gives you a little bonus core work. Who doesn't like bonus core work? Exactly. I mean, maybe the guys outside putting tree branches through the chopper would not be all that interested in the bonus core work, but I am. So we got just a little bit longer here, about a little under 30 seconds, yogis. So take a really big breath, and then we're going to take this leg back to the center, and we're going to go all the way across into a twist. So I'm gonna let my hip roll, and then this is the point where, like, I'm gonna run into furniture. So I'm gonna bend my knee, and I don't really need the strap, so if I want to put it down, I can. I'm gonna use it just because it's a nice handle. So I've let this hip roll on top, and then I'm gonna get my upper back rolled back down to the floor. I might want to move this hip down a little bit, so that's why I can kind of push into the strap and lower that hip. I might want the arm, it's slightly different. I might want to turn my head. So I'm gonna do this for about another 30 seconds or so. If you want it to get a little softer, you could do that as well. And take a nice deep breath, kind of playing with this angle. Right, so we're going to take a big breath, and then we're going to come on back. Now, we're going to take the strap and leave that off to the side, and we're going to take this leg, and just for a moment, just give it like a little bit of a windshield wiper kind of move, just loosen things. And then we're going to stick this leg straight up in the air, and you can throw a little pillow in there if you want, but we're going to shake the leg. And for me, it's a little easier to get my foot to be all flippy, flippy, flippy on the right side than it is on the left. But that's what we're kind of aiming for, is for everything to be kind of soft. And I'm moving from the thigh bone as best I can to create the jiggle. We got 30 more seconds. Just keep on jiggling, yogis. And let your whole body kind of wiggle with it. We're almost there. 15 more seconds. Keep on jiggling. You want it to be a little slower. You could do a little slower jiggle. All right, take a big breath. Then let go with an ah. And you can let that leg now rest on the floor. And we're just, like, you might want to do little windshield wipers on the way, all the way out straight. We're just going to pause for a moment and feel that whole side of the body relax. And then once you've got that side of the body relaxed, just notice how the other side responded as well. And does it feel different on the side we just did? And is the sensation pleasant? So if there's any unpleasant sensations, then you may want to just notice those things. Now, before we do the other side on the hip, we're going to do one more little shoulder bit. And we're going to roll onto the leg that we just stretched out. So we're actually going to roll onto that side. Okay. Now, what you can do is you can rest, you can just lay on your side with your head on the floor. Now, for me, I have a short neck. And so it's always better for me to put a pillow under my head like that, or a folded blanket, okay? So hold on, let me back up so I'm not off the screen. Ugh. Hopefully you'll be able to see, okay. Okay, so I've got a pillow under my head, and the arm that's on the bottom here, which is my right arm, is straight out in front of me. And I've got my legs swung just a little bit forward to create some stability here, okay? So then my left arm's going to start on top with the right arm, and then I'm going to go over my head. So I'm going to draw a big half circle all the way over my head with my arm, stretching as far out as I can, and then I'm going to bring it back when I get to shoulder height, okay? So stretching out, reaching back, and then bringing it back. And you can let the torso go with you. So as you're coming around, it almost goes into a twist, just not too far. And then bring it back, going around, and bring it back. 2 more, going up and overhead, and I'm stretching into that whole range of motion. There might be some places that feel a little different or that are a little bit tender from some of the work I've been doing on the computer. I can definitely tell where some of my shoulder discomfort might be coming from, or from, maybe sleeping on your side or something. Okay, so now we've done that. We're ready to do the other side of the hips. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn around so that I won't be in the way of my furniture on this other side, and it'll be easier to see when I get to the shoulder part. Okay, so I've got a pillow, and I've got me. Alright, so now I'm going to keep a pillow underneath my right leg, because I did that one last time. I'm going to do the left one this time. So I'm going to set my strap off to the side. I'm going to take that pillow under my right leg. If you're not using a pillow, don't worry about it. You won't need to worry about that at all. You can just let your legs stretch out. It's just a little helpful for me to have a little more relaxation right there. Okay, so then my left leg is the one I'm going to bring in toward me and hold on to. And again, you can hold on to it by kind of hugging it in, or you can hold on to your strap, or just whatever, your clothes, don't hold it, whatever's going to be best. Then we're going to rotate this ankle joint, and again, I do some kind of fast ones, and some that are the whole range of motion, really digging into the edges there. Oh. Okay, a couple more of those. And then we're going to point and flex, so that the back of the foot and the ankle and the Achilles tendon, maybe calf muscles even, kind of get a little love, and then the front of the shin as well. All right, Yogi, so then give it a little stretch, give it a little jiggle, and when you're ready, you're going to take the strap. You can hold on to your big toe, or you can use your strap. And again, you might rotate it so that the buckle is in a good place. You might adjust the size so that you have a little more room or a little less room. And then just kind of set it up for yourself. So again, this leg is nice and heavy, the right side that I've already done. And the left side I'm kind of feeling out. Do I like that little bit of rotation? Do I want to let the leg fall away a little bit? Would a bend in my knee be better? And sometimes it's just the exploration of that whole palette of sensation is interesting while we're hanging out here. We got about 30 seconds left. I'm going to try to use those 30 seconds to dig into my calf muscles a little bit by pulling my toes down and reaching up through my heel. Taking nice deep breaths. All right, so we're going to take the leg out to the side. So again, I'm going to add a little support by putting this pillow just right under the edge of my hip like that. And then when I take this leg out, it has a little bit of extra support. Again, you can bend at the knee, straighten the leg more, whatever little bit of rotation you've got. You can anchor the side down by adding a little extra support through your core. And this is the transverse abdominis muscle that we're talking about. And the way that you know that your transverse abdominis muscle is kicked on is that you kind of feel like it's almost like cinching you like a corset. So it draws you in on the sides a little bit. And you'll feel a little bit of connection across this lower part of your belly as well. And that's those deep abdominal muscles that are really important for stabilizing the torso. Keeping our hips and our spine and our legs all moving as one harmonious unit to reduce the the amount of shock that we get from walking on hard surfaces, and also to kind of help our body move through space gracefully. As gracefully as we can, given the circumstances. Grace is not my middle name. Oh, goodness. So we got about 30 seconds here, yogis. Noticing where this kind of is landing you as you take your next last here deep breath. And let go. And so then we're going to bring this leg all the way across and into a twist. And again, if your furniture's kind of in the way, you can bend at the knee. Make it a little tighter package. And then I'm still going to kind of roll my upper back to the floor. And I might work with the straps. I'm kind of pushing my foot into the strap and pulling that hip down a little bit so I have a little bit more sensation right here in this upper part of my glutes. We got about 30 seconds left here, yogis. Taking some nice big breaths. Take a giant breath. And then we're going to bring that leg back. And we're going to start with just a little bit of kind of remove the strap. Give yourself a little windshield wipers. You do both legs. And then we're going to stick this leg, I don't know why I'm fixing my pants. We're going to stick this leg up in the air and we're going to give it a shake. And for me, the left side, it's much harder for me to get my ankle joint to relax. So that's what I concentrate on. Is really letting my ankle and my toes get super relaxed so my foot will be a little flippier. There we go. Now it's working. So I can do faster or a little slower. I kind of like this sort of slower pace, but trying to relax really into it so I get the sense of my foot kind of flipping back and forth. Oh. We're almost there. We just got a little bit longer. Another 20 seconds or so. Sunshine in my eyeballs makes it hard to see. 2 more breaths. Flip it around, yogis. 1 more breath. Okay, so then you're going to bend your knee. You're going to let your leg come down. Oh, I'm going to give both my legs a little rinse here. And then stretch them out as far as they're willing to go, or as far as you've got room in your apartment, house, and or condominium. Oh, that feels nice, yogis. It's pretty relaxed. So hopefully it's true for you as well. So again, before we go onto the side and do this other shoulder, we're going to give ourselves just a little windshield wiper remove. And then I'm going to keep one pillow so I have something under my head. The other one could go. And I can set my strap off to the side. Okay, so we're going to roll onto the other side. So whatever side you rolled onto last time, this is the other one. And then you've got a pillow underneath your head or a blanket or whatever. Maybe you don't need one. And then the bottom arm is straight out front, and then this arm's on top. And I've got my knees bent, so I stabilize through my hip a little bit. So this arm is going up, reaching out all the way through the range of motion as far as I can to the point where I'm at the height of my shoulder or my chest. So I'm going to come straight back. So up all the way to that point and then come straight back around. Okay? Up, reach into the arm. You can rotate the arm bone a little bit along the way. If there's some places that feel interesting, you might need the arm bone rotated differently. Good. We're going to do it twice more. So up, reach out through the arm that's on the floor as well if you care to. And then one more time, we're going up overhead. Oh, if there's some spots in there that are a little more tender, go a little slower through those spots. Okay, so then we're done. And then we're going to bring ourselves up to a seated position. So from your side, hopefully that's not that hard. You can just sit yourself up. So, I'm going to get a drink of water. Now, yogis, we're going to start with just a simple cross-legged seating position. I make that sound easy. It's not always easy. And so if you need to sit up on a pillow or a blanket in order to make that more accommodating, do. So we're going to let the shoulders, I'm just going to kind of give those a jiggle. I'm going to let the shoulders relax, and then I'm going to drop my chin. And there's a tendency sometimes to lean forward. See if you can maintain a kind of more upright spine. And then we're going to roll the head. Now, I go to the point where I feel a stretch right here, and that's where I stop. You can go all the way to the back and then come all the way back around. It feels a little crunchy in my neck. I just prefer to go just to the point where I feel that stretch and then come back. I've got a short neck, and my head kind of lolls onto the muscle in the back. It just feels a little crunchy, but if you've got room and that feels okay to you, go for it. So I'm just doing this one side, back and forth, two more. So I'm stretching out the one side of my neck. Now, all the way around, back to the center, and then I'm going to go really slow, and I'm going to roll my head. And when I feel like the most sensitive spot, you might have to go back and forth a couple times. Then we're going to pause right there. We're going to take this opposite arm and drop it out. So my head is going towards my left shoulder, and my right arm is going to drop out. So I'm feeling a little more sensation along this right side. You can walk your fingertips out if that seems okay. Just be mindful about leaning sideways. Okay, we got 2 more breaths. Keep the shoulders relaxed. I'm not trying to pinch up against my ear. Okay, so now I'm going to release the pressure from this arm, and I'm going to roll my chin back toward the center. And then nice and slow, I'm going to let my head come up. And I like to give it just a little bit of a wiggle. And then I'm also going to do some little circles with the shoulders in each direction. And then pause for a moment and feel. So notice the side of the neck you did the more powerful stretching on versus the side of your neck that you haven't done the more powerful stretching on. See if there's a difference. Like just the way it feels like my collarbone is lower on this side, that there's a little more room between my ear and my shoulder than there is on this side. And that may or may not actually be true, but it definitely feels true. All right? So I'm going to do my other side. So first I'm going to drop my chin, and then I'm leaving this arm in my lap for now. I'm just going to roll my head up over the side and back, okay? And again, I'm just going to do this side. So I'm going to the middle in the front, almost to the middle in the back, and then back and to the front. And just go back and forth over the shoulder with the head so that this side of the neck is getting the length. We're going to do it 3 more times, and you're just noticing, are some spots more tender than others? Okay. Do it one more time. I feel like I might be leaning a little bit. Bringing myself back. Okay, so now I'm finding that spot. Oh, it's right there. That needs a little extra love. And then I'm going to drop the arm off the edge. Okay, so this arm is now hanging a little off the edge. If that's too spicy, bring the arm back. We're going to stay for a bit. So we're going to take one more big breath. All right, with your exhale, you're just going to bring your chin back to the center, and we're going to bring the arm back into the place, and then I'm going to float my head back up. And once I've done whatever little release I need for the neck, I'm going to do some circles with the shoulders in both directions. And then notice, right? Does it feel like there's a little more space here? Does it feel good? Is there anything that feels like there's still some tension there? Or maybe there's some feelings of things being a little too spicy. So sometimes for me, shaking the shoulders out a little bit is helpful as well. Okay, so we're going to take the legs out so that we've got a V. And we're not going to maintain the V for long, but we're going to start with the V. And then if you find that you've got some tenderness behind your knees, you can put a rolled up blanket or a couple pillows under your knees. If you find that you tend to lean back, you can sit on the edge of a blanket or on the edge of a pillow to give yourself a little bit of a lift. So then we're going to bend one knee. So you're going to keep one leg straight, one knee is going to bend. And we're going to do 3 different things here. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to turn towards this bent knee, and I'm just going to let myself kind of fold forward over it. And this is where some blocks might come in handy. So if you've got a couple of yoga blocks and you want to rest your elbows on them. Now when I lean over this leg, this butt cheek comes off the floor. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to keep myself heavy on my elbows, and I'm going to roll that hip toward the ground. My toes are going up, and I'm reaching through that leg as I'm doing it. And then I'm going to let this whole thing turn inward again. Okay? So kind of go with me, and then I'm going to roll that thigh bone down and press toward this floor with my sit bone. And then I'm going to let the thigh bone roll in. And then I'm going to roll that thigh bone out. And I'm just doing this, kind of exhaling this shape, inhaling that shape, right? And you can do it on either end of the spectrum. You don't have to do the inhale where I'm doing it. Just kind of pick a movement with your breath, or just hold something steady if that's better. One more time. So then I'm going to come all the way up, and just for a moment I'll let myself kind of pause. I'm going to reorient my pelvis so it's a little more even, going this way. Oh. Now I can feel sensation on this hip, this side of my body that's different than on the other side. So I'm just noticing the little impacts from my practice. And then we're going to fold. Second thing we're going to do is we're going to fold straight down the middle. And again, I might be able to put my elbows on blocks. They might have to be higher. I might not go very far, so it might just be a little tilt. Or it could be that I'm still kind of tilting backwards, and I'm just going to get tall here and try to imagine drawing my sit bones out from under me, okay? Everybody has different genetics, and sometimes some poses just genetically don't work for everybody. And this is one of the trickier ones. So we're kind of pausing with this movement. I like to do these little cat shapes where I kind of round the back and then bring it back out, or a little side to side wobble. I'm going to stay for about 2 more big breaths. We're going to inhale our way up. Okay, so the last thing we're going to do is a side stretch. And I'm going to use this long leg to do the side stretch. So I'm going to gently kind of coax that sit bone slightly that way. So again, I'm kind of turned this way a little bit. Now, for me, it's not uncomfortable to put my elbow there on my thigh. But if my elbow doesn't go to my thigh, I can rest my hand down here, or you can rest your hand on the floor. And then you're going to let yourself side bend. So we're going to bend sideways. You can let the head fall, or you can turn the chin up, or you can turn the chin down, okay? This arm can snake out over your ear, kind of roll the armpit in a little, or you can bring that arm back behind you, or even wrap it behind your back, okay? So choosing the amount or the sensation that feels right. So the reason I like my elbow here is because I can kind of rotate, and then that elbow can help provide support. If I had a hand, I would use it with my whole arm, kind of draw that shoulder in, so I've got my whole arm helping to support that. One more big breath. Now before we come out of this, we're just going to take the arm out and we're going to let ourselves fold towards that leg a little bit, rinse out your neck, and then we're going to come all the way up. Oh, okay, so bring the legs back around to the center, give everything a little shake. Not sure there's going to be any trees left in my neighborhood when these guys are done. Alright, so we're taking the legs out a little on the wide side. The opposite knee is bending. And then I'm going to turn just a little towards the blocks here. And I'm going to fold in. I'm going to let myself fold all the way in. If your elbows touch the ground, that's fine too. If you're like me and your elbows are it's a little far down there, then put your elbows on blocks or on pillows. Okay, so my hips up right here. And the tendency for my whole body is to roll inward. So I'm going to start there, but then I'm going to roll my thigh bone backward and press toward my sit bone. Okay? Inhale, come back to the middle. Exhale, roll that thing open. You can do it the opposite way with the breath, but just pick one. I feel all kinds of interesting connections that live between my hips and my ribs when I do this. It's really interesting. And my low back as well. Okay? My leg and the relationship that exists between my femur bone and my hip sockets. We're going to do it one more time. Pause right there. Take a big breath. And then you're going to come up. We're going to exhale and kind of center ourselves again. And then we're going to fold straight down the middle. And again, with the center position, you might be a little bit more inclined to fold forward or a little less. And so you can move the spine a little bit side to side, bringing the heart forward and back. Or you can find a spot and kind of pause. We're going to stay for about another 3 breaths. So this is our big breath that's going to hold us in. And then come all the way up at the top. Exhale when you get there. And then we're going to do this little side stretch. So I'm going to turn a little to the side, right? And then maybe your elbow rests on your thigh, maybe your hand rests on your shin. And then we're going to try stretching over. And maybe the arm is too spicy, so you do something else. Maybe it's better up a little bit or down a little bit. You can hold still, or you can add a little movement. Nice big inhale. And then let yourself come all the way out. We're going to rinse that out. You might need to rinse out your neck. Lean back. Lean back and rinse out your legs. Okay. So the good news is it's time for Shavasana. We're pretty close. So we're gonna take ourselves into a shavasana shape anyway, and then we'll do a couple little love things there before we finally relax. Now I'm gonna keep this blanket and I'm gonna put that underneath my legs, under my thighs, and I'm going to move all my other props kind of out of my way. Now if you wanted a pillow under your head or you're chilly and you want to cover with a blanket, do that. Okay. So this guy, while I'm kind of sitting here, I'm gonna bring that right in under the thighs, and then I can hold it as I lay down. Oh. All right, so now that's where I want it. And then I'm gonna bring my legs in, and I'm gonna do a little happy baby pose. I'm gonna do half and half. So I'm gonna start with one foot, and I'm just gonna rock back and forth, and then this side, I'm gonna stretch out nice and long. And then I'm gonna rock, and then I'm gonna stretch out nice and long, and you might want the leg a little higher, a little lower, depending on how the stretch feels. And then one more time, I'm gonna rock, and then I'm gonna stretch that leg out, and I play with like the angle that I'm bringing the bones in. Oh, okay, and then I'm bringing that guy back in, letting go of this foot, holding onto this foot, okay? Little happy baby, holding this leg, kind of bringing it towards the floor. I'm going to extend this leg, maybe all the way, maybe not all the way. Then I'm going to bring it back. Then I'm going to extend this leg. Again, like sometimes I like to internally rotate that thigh bone. Oh, bring it back. And then one more time, we're going to extend out. So I'm anchoring through this side. So I've got a little bit of a lift in this hip, and then I might be able to extend a little more fully. Oh, okay, then bring the leg in, give it both little happy babies. Now the thing with the happy baby pose is the sacrum wants to come off the ground. You're going to try to hold that sacrum back down. And it might not touch the floor, but you just kind of aim in that direction. And then you're going to release your legs. And we're going to stretch them out again. But I'm going to let my feet rest gently because I'm going to slide my heels out and stretch into those legs. Give them a little jiggle. And then let them relax. And then I'll make final adjustments to the support there that I put under the legs. I'm going to snuggle my shoulder blades underneath me. Let my arms find a happy home. Release any tension from my neck. Oh. And then you're going to take a really big breath. Let go with a really big and sometimes it takes 2 or 3 of those, especially when there are workmen in front of your house ruining your videos. So we're going to just pause for a moment and try to relax in the face of adversity, however small. Now, yogis, try to continue to let your body relax. If you notice that you gather any tension in your body, just come back to it and let it go. Especially the jaw, between the eyebrows. stay just a little bit longer. Nice and relaxed. Now, take a moment and just spread out your fingers and toes. And then relax them and wiggle them. And then spread them out. And relax and wiggle them. And spread them out. And relax and wiggle them. And then we're going to do some little circles with the wrist and ankles. Ooh, in both directions. And then we're going to stretch through the arms and legs. Oh, you might do some little banana stretches. And then we're going to bring the knees back in. Now you can do one more little hug and one more back massage. It's always good to hug your favorite yogi at the end of your practice, I think. Oh, give it a little hug. And then we're going to roll to the side. And I'm going to pause for just a moment. So I might take my blanket and kind of tuck it under my head. Oh. I like to have this little transition zone between Shavasana and sitting. And then when you're ready, you'll just bring yourself right up to a seated position. Oh. Now, if you managed to hang with me through all of the construction noise, thank you so much. We'll take a big deep breath together. And a big deep sigh. Namaste, yogis. Have a great rest of your day.